So Sue, tell me, what made you decide to come to Comox Valley?
Well, I'd been traveling. I've always been a traveler. I've traveled all over the world and came backpacking to Canada and the States and ended up in Powell River at a place called Fiddlehead Farm. Look it up, it's a fascinating place. And so I stayed there for a year and then went back home, and then by that time I was already fallen in love with Canada.
Now, when you were 12, you decided to become a singer-songwriter, but when did you decide to become an artist?
Well, I'd always been arty. Like, I went to art school, and I was lucky I had a fantastic art teacher at high school that really inspired me, and then I went on to art school. But my mum was always kind of like, well, it's not a real job. So I think she was just worried about me struggling financially. So she sort of steered me in the direction of graphic design. So that's what I did most of my career. I worked for magazine publishing, doing the design and layout, and then production manager and stuff.
Tell us about the picture behind you. You have a style called pointillism.
Yeah, pointillism is, as it sounds, it's like lots of little dots. So this is all made up of dots. There's some washes here, like the leaves are washes, but mostly it's lots of little dots. So it's very time consuming. But the reason that I do it is because it still allows the wood to show through. So this bit here, this is all the natural wood in here. And so it seems like it's emerging from the wood rather than being painted on the wood. So,
and that's a piece of live edge. Where do you get your wood from?
So I was in a show at the Robert Bateman Gallery called the One Tree Show. And that's a show that happens every 2 years. And it's the Robert Bateman Gallery and a company called Live Edge Design. And they partner and they take a tree that has to be taken down because it's falling down or it's old. And this tree was 200 years old. So this is part of the one tree. This is an extra bit of wood that I got. It's 200-year-old big.
So you have a lot of work in different galleries. Where can we find your work?
Well, primarily I'm in the Salish Sea Market down in Bowser. They carry a lot of my work, and they're going to have this one tomorrow. I'm in the Reflecting Spirit Gallery in Ucluelet.
Where can we find your work outside of galleries?
Oh, in town here for art cards and prints, you can get my art cards at a limited supply of art cards at the Tin Town Cafe. You can also get them at the Little Village store in Cumberland. You can get them at the airport gift shop.
And what about people who don't want to leave their home?
I have a shop online. So there's different options. So I can either mail them to you, or you can curbside pick up from my house.
And your website is?
www.suepyper.ca. That's Pyper. So I've had lots of people ask me about various things about my art. So I thought I'd just answer a few of those questions. So I like working on live edge wood. And I get it from a place, and it's all sustainably harvested. So they're not just cut down for the sake of it. They're trees that have to be taken down for they're dangerous or they're dead. So that's quite important to me. No, I do a technique called pointillism. It's kind of a hybrid technique. So, but a lot of it is pointillism, which is lots and lots of dots. So, and why do I do lots and lots of dots? I hear you ask. It's simply because when you use dots, the wood still shows through. And so there's an element that I really like about it, that it sort of looks like the art's emerging from the wood rather than painted on the wood. And so you get areas that are just the natural wood, and especially if the wood has got interesting colors or shapes or whatever, then it's nice to be able to use those by leaving as much of the raw wood showing as possible. You can't paint over mistakes. If I make a mistake or I spill ink on it, which I've done before, you have to get the sander out and fix it. Now the downside of that, it's very time consuming. It takes a very long while to produce, hundreds and hundreds of hours to produce, particularly like a big piece, like this elephant. But I don't know, there's something about it that's very meditative for me. It just takes me to a Zen place. And do I wish I was one of those sort of free abstracty kind of painters? Sometimes, yes, I do. And I've tried that. It just doesn't work for me. And so, you know, this is my thing. This is my technique. It's what I love. And yes, it takes time, but then that's part of the process too. Why an elephant? Because they are so wise, and there's something very special about elephants. I love sculptural shapes. So a lot of my work, I like to work with sculptural forms, such as sea lions or elephants, octopus, and they tend to lend themselves very well to this technique, pointillism. If you want to check out how they're done, I do have other videos on YouTube, and you can go check them out and see the process and see what happens. They're time-lapse videos, so they don't take too long to watch. If you have any other questions, fire them away in the comments, and I'll happily do my best to answer any questions that you might have about my weird and wonderful technique on wood. Thanks for listening.